So what does the day in the life of a modern circuit rider preacher look like? Well, today in this video we'll explore those things. The circuit rider preachers were big back in the 1800s, especially in the Methodist church, especially in the South and on the East Coast. There wasn't enough preachers to go around, and a lot of times the circuit rider preachers would come in, and they got the name because they were circuit riders. They had a designated circle of influence where they went to churches and preached. So some of them may have 3 or 4 different circuits that they'd go to. Now that would mean that sometimes they would not hit every church, but possibly every month or even every month and a half. So today, what does a modern circuit rider preacher do? Well, as a modern circuit rider preacher, and I say that tongue in cheek, we go and we preach in places where they may not have a pastor, or the pastor may be on vacation, or just trying to fill in and do as God leads. So I thought I'd take you on that journey today. A modern circuit rider preacher. Now, there were times, especially in the South, where even though there may be a Methodist circuit rider, it could be that the Baptist in the area would have to go to the Methodist church, or vice versa. I've heard of cases to where folks, because of the small rural country town, would have to share their churches. So they may go to the Methodist church every other week. They may go to the Baptist church every other week, or they may swap that by the month. This was a common practice back in the early days of the country, because there just simply wasn't that many preachers available, and the church was exploding, especially when it came out of the first and second Great Awakenings. Many churches were planted and established throughout the East Coast, all the way from New England down to Georgia. So that created a great need for the circuit rider preachers. And you get the idea from reading historical accounts that these preachers were not your average day-to-day preachers. They were rough, they were rugged, because the environment, you got to remember, they wasn't driving around in a vehicle like I am. They wasn't in airplanes. They were riding horses. It's said of John Wesley that he wrote most of his sermons on the back of a horse. I thought that's very interesting. It's a great study about the circuit rider preachers. So as a modern circuit rider preacher today, my heart's intent is to try to help the local church in any capacity that I can. Whether it be them needing an interim pastor or someone to fill the pulpit for 6 months. Maybe the local pastor has had a medical emergency. Maybe he's on vacation. Maybe they don't have a local pastor. Now, I'm not called into the pastoral ministry currently in that to take one church, but I am called to try to help and assist the local church. So that's a big part of circuit riding preaching. In the South, our churches are scattered out in the rural areas. You'll have to excuse my dirty front window, but there are, in my particular county, there are 55 Southern Baptist churches alone, and they are dotted all over the county. It's a common sight to see on all these back roads in the South, little churches that's popped up, because back in the old days, before modern vehicles, the community was really isolated to a little local area. So they would plant a church in a local area, and the church became almost a city center back in those days. This was the days before mass transit, the days before simply getting in a vehicle going to the store. Back in the old days, it may be a month before they'd go to the big town, or several weeks. So everything that took place in the little community took place at the church. It really became a anchor in the community. My assignment this morning is at a church. I think I've preached here. This will be the 6th time, I believe. It's called Indian Grove Baptist Church. It's It's a wonderful church. They've been around over 100 years, and it's flourishing out in the country. It's got a great outreach. It has multiple services, an 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock service. And what they do, they're trying to help young families at the 8 o'clock service. They even have a light breakfast so that young families, when they come that early, can feed their families as well as, enjoy the word and then go to Sunday school. And if you've got children, know how it is to try to get everything together on Sunday morning. That's quite a help. So this is my assignment today, and a lot of times I'll preach somewhere for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. Sometimes I preach one Sunday, and that's how the Lord leads. I've got a meeting this week actually with a congregational church that may be in need of some help, and so I'm just into this new phase in ministry, having been a pastor, but the Lord seeing fit to still use the gifting to preach and teach, and I'm very thankful to the Lord for that. It is an honor to be able to go and to meet people and to be able to preach His word. And I'd like to think I'm doing my part to just help the body of Christ, whether it's a Baptist church or Methodist or Congregational or whatever the church is. You can see the leaves down here in Alabama is finally turning. It took a while. Finally turning. All right, we're just about to the church for the 8 o'clock service, and we're gonna pull in, and I'll take you along as far as I can and see what kind of show you what we do. This is a beautiful church. They have you can see the sanctuary back. It sets up on a hill here, and that's they have the 11 o'clock service in that building. Then they have the 8 o'clock service in this building. It's a beautiful setting for a church. So this is their foyer. This is for the first service. People filing in for breakfast. This is what the morning looks like. People still filing in. We got a beautiful little place here.
Let me take a guess.
Here we go. Everybody wave. Hello, everyone. Hey, hey, hey. Hello, hello, hello. Very good. So this is the second service. Wave at everybody. We got people all across the country who will be watching. There we go. This is the second service. All right, well, that concludes the day for me anyway. We had 2 services today. You saw part of the congregation. They wasn't all in there in the first service, and then you saw some in the second service. And that's kind of what a modern day circuit rider preacher would do. We go and try to help any church that we can. And if you're a preacher and you're listening to this, I'd love to hear your experience of filling in and helping churches. And I hope this kind of gives you an idea of what a modern circuit rider preacher does. And I kind of use that term tongue-in-cheek. Of course, I'm able to drive a car. I'm not riding a horse and all that. But So this is the day, a day in the life of a circuit riding preacher. God bless you. Hope you have a good day.